saying no. Is this easy for you? Or does even hearing the word no feel like a gut punch? Do you cringe when you have to say no to someone? We've all heard about leveraging the power of yes, but what about saying no? In this episode, let's explore when to say no and how to do it effectively. For those of you who are new to the Women Taking the Lead podcast, hello and welcome. I'm Jody Flynn. I'm an executive leadership coach, speaker, and author. I am the current president of the board for the Maine Women's Conference, and I have the privilege and joy to work with women leaders to hone the skills that allow them to grow into and thrive in senior leadership. My specialization is working with women who are still stabilizing after their last promotion and those who are preparing for the next one. It is my belief that for more women to hold positions of senior leadership, there are changes at the individual and organizational level that need to occur. Not only do women need to be trained and coached on how to operate at these levels of leadership, organizations need to change their paradigm of how the work gets done and what supports are in place for leaders to do their job. If we are not already connected on LinkedIn, please send me an invitation to connect. You can find me directly at linkedin.com/in/Jody Flynn, or you can search for Jody Flynn. I'm very active on LinkedIn, so I should be at or near the top of your search results. Be sure to add a note to the invitation letting me know you are a listener of the podcast. I would love to connect with you and get to know you better. Let's face it, as women, we get more positive feedback and assurances that we are doing the right thing when we are accommodating. Saying yes brings smiles and nods of approval. According to Mary McKinney, a clinical psychologist and academic coach at Chapel Hill, North Carolina, saying no is more challenging for women because of societal pressures to be likable. Men are still seen as likable if they're assertive, while women are more likely to be seen as likable if they are compliant. Early in our careers as individual contributors, saying yes and volunteering for the extra work is a strategy to get noticed and send signals that we're capable of being given more and that we are a team player. Sometimes that means saying yes before you've had time to think it through. For this strategy to work, we needed to exude that everything was under control as we diligently worked through all the extra responsibility on our own. If this is still your pattern, even though you have a team of people reporting to you, I'm going to encourage you, if you have not already, to listen to the last episode. What does asking for help mean to you? Have you ever reported into a manager who said yes too often and wasn't asking for help? If not, let me create a picture for you. You need to get some guidance from your manager on a project you've been assigned to, but you hesitate. Your manager has been a little frazzled lately. They are not complaining per se, but the signs are there. You go to them to ask your questions, and they appear to regretfully pull themselves away from whatever they were working on. There's something in their facial expression and body language that signals impatience. Their answers may be a little short, and they are not asking follow-up questions. You're planning a vacation with some family or friends, and you ask your manager for the time off. If you're asking in person, you may get a flat stare or a look of alarm. If you are requesting the time off electronically, you get radio silence and have to follow up to get your answer, or your manager responds asking if you really need to take the time off right now. While all of this is subtle, it leaves you feeling unsupported, perhaps a little underappreciated. Is this manager the leader you want to be? Is this how you want your team to feel? Knowing when and how to say no is a big part of your success as an individual, as a member of a team, and especially as a leader. Research is showing that saying yes too often will put you physically and psychologically at risk. A recent Stanford University study found that productivity per hour declined sharply when a person worked more than 50 hours a week. Furthermore, researchers found that those who worked up to 70 hours a week were only getting the same amount of work done as those who put in 55 hours a week. That's an extra 15 hours going to waste. That's 2 work days. According to this study, failing to say no to additional tasks wastes time, energy, and resources. And are there times when saying yes can work for you? Absolutely. You want to say yes to good opportunities to advance your career. But if you are saying yes to too many things that are not as important or vital to you, you won't have the bandwidth to say yes to good opportunities when they come along. Or you won't have the bandwidth to do everything well when you say yes to those good opportunities. Can you relate to that? How many times have you had to skip a workout or cancel plans with family and friends to stay on top of everything you've said yes to at work? Or painfully had to submit something that you knew was not your best work, but it was going to have to do? The ability to say no is a critical leadership skill and is necessary if you want to grow as a leader. It is one of 25 areas of leadership addressed in the Leadership Operating System quiz. This is a holistic self-assessment. It allows you to assess your effectiveness in leading others, leading yourself, your ability to influence, your ability to manage your energy, and your communication skills. It's a way for you to quickly identify where you could focus your developmental resources. It's not about looking for what you're doing wrong. This quiz will be an acknowledgement that you are getting a lot of things right. It will take you about 3 minutes for you to complete, and if you think about it, that's a quick turnaround to gain insight into what would improve your effectiveness as a leader and make being a leader more enjoyable. Go to womentakingthelead.com/quiz to find out more and to take the quiz. Here are some suggestions for determining if something is a yes or a no. 1, unless it's a full body, I've been waiting for this moment kind of request, refrain from saying yes on the spot. Instead say, let me check my whether workload, schedule, upcoming projects, whatever works for you in that. Let me check and I'll get back to you. This gives you time to consider your options and prevents the knee-jerk response that is usually driven by a need to please others, be liked, or just not look bad. 2, assess the ask. Is this a good opportunity for you? Is there plenty of room in your schedule? If not, what would you have to give up in order to make this commitment work? Is it worth it? Your time is a precious resource and you want to make sure you're spending it wisely. And I'll give this advice as well too, as someone who many times has said yes to something only to find out later it was going to take a lot more time and energy than the person made it sound like it was going to. Ask a lot of questions. Really get to the heart of how much time will this take, right? As much as that other person can provide. And then estimate that even with all that information, it's probably going to take longer than they think it's going to. That's just my personal life experience coming out here. You want to be cautious, right? You don't want to find yourself in a situation where you're full of regret for saying yes. 3, if it's a no, use a soft no. You can say, thank you for thinking of me. I checked workload, schedule, upcoming projects, and won't be able to commit to this. A soft no makes it easier for you if you are a people pleaser, and I'm one of them, to honor the relationship while maintaining boundaries around your time. If you are saying no and the person is your boss or a person who impacts your performance review or your career, Convey the careful consideration you gave your decision and how you are protecting your ability to do your best work and provide value to the company, right? So you really want to make a case for, I really looked at my schedule. I looked at my project load. If I were to say yes to this, other things would get harmed, right? And convey that you thought about it and you researched it and you're giving an answer that will protect the company. 4, if you can offer an alternative, offer it. Do you know someone or have a resource that can help them instead? Offer it up. Again, this helps to soften the no and lets the other person know you want them to be successful in their endeavor. Especially if you are saying no to a leader above you, help them to find some alternatives. Saying no to someone who can impact your career can be a scary scenario, but I'll say this. You will not impress anyone if you are overworked and cannot do your best work because you're getting pulled in too many directions. What's in the way of saying no is mostly the worry that it will disappoint others or it will reflect badly on you. Yet, without no in your vocabulary, you'll be seen as someone who isn't ready to be promoted to the next level. The ability to say no with the good of the company in mind screams senior leadership. And senior leaders say no all the time. They say no nicely. They say no with reason, but they say no quite a bit. I'll wrap this up with a quote from author Anna Taylor. Love yourself enough to set boundaries. Your time and energy are precious. You get to choose how you use it. You teach people how to treat you by deciding what you will and won't accept. If you're interested in finding out more about my process, the cost of coaching, or how to ask your employer to pay for you to work with a coach, schedule a time to chat with me. And I have a link in that you can use to put yourself on my calendar. You can find that link in the episode description. If you're listening on your phone, that will be in your podcast app. If you're listening through the Women Taking the Lead website, the link will be toward the bottom of the episode webpage. There's also a link in there to access a checklist that will help you prepare to ask your company to sponsor you to work with a coach. As always, I hope this was of value to you, and here's to your success.